Hello and welcome to this first video on creating Angry Birds. And just to give you a little play, if you've never played Angry Birds before, if you hit play here, we should be able to control our bird with the mouse this time. And I'd encourage you, maybe as a try to do as a touch as well here. But we've got a bird. You see it changes a tint there on it. We can move its position, and you can see it sort of moves in almost a circle from its starting point. And then based on that, it will shoot. So if I would suggest maybe even having a little center here might be good. Just so that we know where we're aiming from. But anyways, we've got there, and then you can shoot, and then just using the physics, the bird comes back. I mean, at the moment, there's no score on this or anything, but there. Ooh, I think my explosion, my particle system has ceased working. But anyways, this is kind of the idea, okay? And you can imagine there's a lot of possibilities after the fact, if you want to keep going with this. But we'll just sort of get the basic game done. And yeah, then you can sort of modify it to your heart's content. So just to give you a little bit of an overview as well, it's not that tricky. I mean, there are 3 scripts here. Your bird, so the bird controller, the level controller, and that's where you'll be able to go from one level to another and make sure that, you sort of reset things and whatever the case might be. And then, of course, the monster one. So let's just take a little look what we got here. So I think I've got that open already. Yeah, so for the bird, just zoom in a little bit. There's some stuff that's new, some stuff that we've seen before, and we'll just sort of work our way through it. So don't worry at the moment here. But we've got, some of the ideas on these functions that maybe we haven't seen before, the on mouse down, on mouse up, so they're built-in functions, and on mouse drag. So a lot of this here is kind of, we don't have to do too much. It already knows. A little bit of learning here, the mouse position based on the camera, sort of main screen to world point, and then being able to sort of orientate its position so that we can get some direction and getting some, size in terms of magnitude, in terms of how much distance it's going to fall or shoot. So we're going to sort of look through that. Some of the collision on collision enter 2D. There's a reset a little bit with an IE numerator so that we have a wait for seconds here. So a lot of the code there should be known to you, but obviously there's a few little things, right? Especially using the mouse that we haven't really used before that will be informative. Now there's some other ones here as well. Let's just go take a look. The monster, a simpler one, because really it just has to detect being, like it says here, has died. Is that true or false? And so basically should die from collision. We can put a little bit of, physics, right, in terms of measuring how much it's being hit and how it's being hit. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then again, an IE numerator. There's that particle system that didn't seem to play properly. But there again there's a little bit of a wait for. And then just last little preview here before we get started, just in terms of the level controller. So this isn't implemented much at the moment, so this will be a spot for you to kind of work towards. But you've got your levels, and you can name your levels. You could have different monsters. So this is an array of the monsters here. So they're finding the monsters and so on. And then if the monsters are all dead, go to the next level. And so it's able to sort of check to make sure, right, that it runs through each monster to check if it's active. And if not, then it's going to be able to return false so that we keep playing, or return true if all those are dead. Then we will move on to the next level. All right. So yeah, that's kind of the basis here. And it's not, like I said, it's not too difficult, I don't think. Nothing more difficult than what we did with asteroids, but we should be able to get a handle on using the mouse and a few new techniques as well that will serve you well. Now, the next thing, I'm going to give you a file with all the artwork. So basically, I will give you this file here that has the birds, monsters, environment, and so on. However, having said that, let me show you a cool little website where you can download it, where all the artwork came from. And so if I just come on here, this site here, opengameart.org, and there's tons of stuff here. And so you can just simply search, and all I did was look for birds, right? For angry birds, you can look for backgrounds, and you can find sounds, you can find pixel, you can find 3D models, almost everything, right? So I don't even know if I put in angry birds, if that would be better. I mean, you can get a little bit more, maybe disgruntled birds, I don't know, right? You can search for whatever you need, and you should be able to find pretty well anything and everything. And you can see here too, you can start to limit it by music, 2D art, 3D art, and so on. So as you sort of move on from this unit, this might be a great place to start looking for your artwork. All right, so let's, I'm going to create a new project, and when I come back, everything will be fresh and ready to go to begin this tutorial. All right, so let's start getting our background into play here. So what I've got, as I mentioned before, I brought in and will give you all the art you need. And so there is here the environment, and there are two things. There is the summer background, and then there is also the summer ground. So we'll just sort of drag that in, so into the game, and it should take up the camera pretty well. Now, one thing that you should probably do as well is on the free aspect here, because that will start changing the camera around, is we should fix it. And if you want sort of the typical 16:9, which is the widescreen, there it is there. So I'm going to go with that one, 16:9. And that just sort of fixes it in. Now, if we need to, the camera, obviously, probably a little bit lower, so we can make sure that you've got your main camera on, and then you can just sort of adjust. So I think I'd want to, yeah, maybe just pull that down. We're going to put a ground in anyways, although we do want the cloud. So yeah, maybe where it wasn't too bad, so that we can do something like that. And then next we'll want to bring in the ground one. So I'm just going to grab that in and place it. Now, one thing you might notice, right, is that if it disappears in behind, we can always play around with the order in layer. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, we could put the background, whoops, just go back down to here, in that order in layer, and maybe put that to -1. Okay, so now that's in the background. And then our brick, right, our ground, which is at 0, so it's further ahead. It's a little bit further ahead. Now, in terms of this here, I think I might just sort of make it a little bit smaller. And I'll just show you a little trick here. So I'm just going to maybe put 0.5, 0.5. Just make it all 0.5 there. And then position it up a little bit. And again, there's no right or wrong here, so I'd probably want that right on the ground, so right on the camera, I should say. And what you'll notice here is that we can actually just sort of fill it across. So there are, just let me find it here, draw mode, there's simple, there's sliced, and there's tiled. And when you put the tiled across, so we've got continuous, then we can sort of add how many that we want and where we're going, and we could just sort of put it across. So the continuous here, continuous, let me just remember how to do this. Mask interaction, sprite point. And all you have to do is increase this value here on the width. So if I sort of drag that out, you can kind of see it grow, and we'll just make sure it sort of goes outside the camera a bit. And because I didn't place it exactly at 0, 0 here, if I place it at 0, yeah, it should be good. I might just pull that out a little bit. So really, really simple, okay? If you want to increase the ground, all you need to do is set tiled, and then you can just increase the width. And like you saw, it just automatically puts the ground in. So basically, we've got that in, okay? So we've got our background and our ground, and we'll be able to put things on here. Let's bring in a bird. So we've got a few birds here. So let me just make sure we've got the right one. I think this is when the bird is sort of hit or dying. So we make sure we grab these two guys. So I'm just going to grab these two. So it's a very simple one. So I've got both of those selected. And if I drag those into my scene, and they're a nice little size, it will automatically create the animation there. So let's call it our bird animation. Good. And we should be able to just, if we hit play here, it should automatically go into that mode. Yeah, so it's busy flapping its wings as we hoped here. Okay, so if you grab more than one tile, right, one image there, it will automatically assume that you're wanting to animate it, and we can check that out if we want. So if we go into our animation here, so I'm just trying to remember where it would have put it here. So go to our assets, so it's art, our scenes. It had to have put it somewhere here. I don't think it threw it in here, did it? Oh, it did throw it in. Yep. So there is our bird animation. And so, and I guess I had that one from before as well. But let's just see here. Put that out. And as long as you've got your bird selected, and we just drag that out, we should be able to see the animation of it. Let me just, there we are. There's the second one. So there's our first one. And I think if we just move across, there's our second one. Okay. So there's our two simple sprites that just to give it that flapping wing animation there. Pretty straightforward. Good. So I think we'll end this video here. We've got all of this sort of organized, and we should be good to go to start putting some physics here on the bird.